Hello and welcome to a bike build in progress. This is a 1997 Iron Horse AT50. This bike was on the corner of my street for at least 24 hours before I decided to bring it home on the Friday. On Saturday, I started taking off some of the components, gear shifts and the brakes and the derailleur. On Sunday, I began scrubbing things down, cleaning them up. Footage you're seeing here starts on the Monday, where I'm even more deep cleaning things, getting rid of dust and completely stripping the bike. So I think I removed every single component with the intention of fixing it up, making it as good as new without really adding any new components. I'm only replacing a couple things such as the pedals and new brake and shift cables. But everything else is as I found it, just clean, no rust. So here I'm just kind of cleaning up the head stack, I guess you would call it. A bit of rust and dirt and stuff in there. And here are the bearings for the head stack. Just using some kitchen degreaser, which seemed to work just fine. It's just what I have around, but it does seem to do the trick for removing a lot of the bike grease. Doing the best I can for making it seem like, a pretty well put together bike. I think the bike frame is actually maybe a 17-inch, so it's a little too small for me. And my usual bike is an 18, and that it seems about right, but it's probably, most people would say it's a little too small. But this one, once I did the test ride later on, it was definitely hurting my knees. And even as I put the seat up, it didn't really alleviate that. And my toes would hit the front tire. So that doesn't happen on my 18-inch bike. So I think it is 16 or 17-inch, quite small. And here you can see I'm using a combination of steel wool and various grits of sandpaper. I'm not really concerned about paint coming off. I just kind of want to get like all of the scratches, the gouges that are in there from years of, being tightened down and rust coming off and pitting and all these things. Like I'm not really concerned about it looking mint or anything. It's not supposed to look like a new bike, but just getting rid of those scratches where rust will form and things like that. I'm using 220 grit, I'm using 1000 grit, and very soft steel wool. You can see there's quite a lot of rust in there. Some water must have sat in there for a while, and there's a washer actually stuck in there. Hopefully I remembered to put that in. I don't remember if I did. But anyways, just, some WD-40 sprayed in there, some paper towels, about the best I could do. The handlebars, they're very narrow for me to ride it, but it seems to be stock. This is what came on the bike. Tons of scratches in there, so I'm going over it with steel wool, and then I went over a few other parts where the scratches were significant with some sandpaper and then smoothing it out overall. I'm applying some synthetic grease to the bearings, to the all the parts that need to move freely. Might not be the best. It's not bike specific grease, but I hope it will work. It seems to be water resistant and all that. So it should work to keep things lubricated and keep the water out. I'm so distracted watching myself put this together here because I don't notice my gut sticking out like that. God damn. Off camera on Sunday, I cleaned up the rear derailleur, and here I'm just taking off the front derailleur which just had a couple spots of light surface rust. Nothing that would affect operation, but I figure I could clean that up, make it a little better. I'm not trying to make this 100% perfect. I'm just trying to show it some care so that, you know, it lasts. Every screw and washer was scrubbed with steel wool or sandpaper if needed, just to get the dirty, crusty bits off. And yeah, I mean, if anything was actually like wrecked, I would replace it, but everything was fine for the most part. I think there's really no way to make this financially viable. Taking a bike for free and then putting in 12 hours of manual work into fixing things up. So I completely understand why a bike shop will, you know, charge a certain amount for a bike, and especially, you know, taking all of the broken components or anything that's even just a little bit rusty and completely replacing it with brand new parts. It's got to be cheaper. Buying new parts is, I think it's always going to be cheaper than completely stripping things down and cleaning them up the way that I have in this video. Yeah, just every time it's going to be cheaper to replace every part. I don't think I'm going to do this on a regular basis, but I think one thing that would help in the future is having like an ultrasonic cleaner, so I could just dump everything in and completely like de-rust everything or deep clean everything, and it's just a matter of reassembling, and that would speed up the process a lot. But I don't know if it's worth having one of those just for the off chance that I might do one of these bike restorations. Now, if I worked at a bike shop and I had to prioritize things, I would probably just swap out the handlebars with something in slightly better condition. All the cabling was probably fine. I would change out the brake pads. I probably should still. I didn't, but I figured they probably weren't used all that much. It seems like this bike had just sat in the garage or something for 15, 20 years. A new chain, new tires, and brake pads is probably all it ever needed. But I just wanted it to feel like a nice, clean bike that you want to ride, that you want to touch, that you care about. If you're running a shop, I don't think you can really do that. You can't really afford to put in 4 hours of work on a bike that you want to sell for $80 or something. Like, I don't think this is even really a $200 bike in 2026. But it's kind of a cool project to work on. Not really stressful in any way, but tiring. My back was killing me by the end of this day. This is now Tuesday. I'm working on this. I worked from roughly like 9:30 to 5:30 on this. And like the final half hour is where things kind of finally came together. And I didn't really want to spread it out over multiple more days because just this takes up so much room in the apartment and all that. I wanted to get it clean. If you've built bikes before, you might have caught my mistakes here. The brake levers are on above the grip shift, so just realizing that I've got that misaligned. It's supposed to be underneath. I redid the rear shifter and the two brake cables. I was able to reuse all of the same cable housing that was already on the bike, but I just wanted to run new cables. In the case of the shifter, the cable was all frayed, so I put in a new one. But the front derailleur cable and everything, that was all fine. This stage of the project was a little frustrating because I couldn't really finish any stage of it. There's all these things that have to come together kind of at once. So I can't get the brakes done until the wheels are done. I can't do the chain until the wheel's done. I can't do the rear derailleur without the chain and the wheels. And so I kind of have to get things to like 75% I just jump ahead and I do the seat post, because that's, that's one thing that I could just get done in 2 minutes. But I have to keep coming back to the brakes and even like another day to just get the brakes aligned. It's that cantilever style brakes is really annoying to work with. I much prefer the V-brakes style. I felt pretty clever being able to figure this out to change the pedals on my own using just a bit of scrap wood clamped to the pedal and the frame to be able to push against. And these had like the cheapest big plastic pedals. I had some spare metal pedals. They're a little narrower, a little skinnier. Again, just kind of using what I had on hand. I didn't want to go out and buy like a $30 pair of pedals. I really like the really wide, flat, spiky mountain bike pedals, but these are just ones that I got from a thrift store. They were like $3 for the pair. They seem totally fine and definitely better than what was on there originally. But yeah, this block of wood and clamp arrangement here that I figured out, yeah, proud of that. It works. The wheels took a lot of cleaning inside and out. I don't know how you could possibly even do this any faster. Maybe a pressure washer would work, but like, what other problems might you cause from doing that? So I'm just going through here with steel wool around every surface, making sure there's no like sharp spots, especially inside of the rim, and then going around every spoke with the steel wool because it's just like gross, crusty, and just getting it back to like a smooth, like doesn't have to be like shiny chrome or anything, but like just smooth, something that's not going to be like icky to touch. The bike, when I found it, had the inner tube like hanging out of the tire, and it was twisted around the axle, and that's probably why it was abandoned there. So I assume that the rear tire is a write-off. It was a slick anyways, and that tube would be bad. So I actually had another spare tube used, but seemed to hold air, and a pair of giant mountain bike tires. They're made by Kenda, so they're actually probably pretty decent, but they are old. I was able to get them on and off without even needing a tool, which is kind of crazy. I'm not going to reuse this tire. I'm going to put on another one of those giant brand mountain bike tires. But this, I think this tire was good. The tube was good. Stayed inflated the whole time that I've had it, which is only less than a week. But the most difficult part by far was getting this chain back together. The little rivet came out the other side very easily with my multi-tool, Crank Brothers multi-tool. That broke the chain easily. Putting it back together, I had to twist some wire twine stuff in to take up the tension so that I could push it back in. Man, that was only one of like 40 things I tried. I couldn't do it on camera. Yeah, putting the chain back together was probably like a 2 hours of trial and error. The rivet thing came out and I could not get it aligned back in. I was trying vice grips to just get it started, and I could kind of get it in, but not straight. It was a whole thing. I'm glad I figured out something in the end, because it would have been a pain to drag the whole bike to a bike shop just for them to, charge me for a new chain and all that stuff. So I'm glad I can completely do this project myself without having to spend any money and without having to ask for help, I guess. So after I took the tire and inner tube off of this wheel and got it all scrubbed down with a steel wool, I realized that the axle was kind of crusty, and you can probably see some rust there on the axle. So I figured I'll take out the ball bearings, get them all cleaned up, put in new grease, and kind of repack these bearings. And in the end, I think I did succeed in making it a little smoother. I don't think it's a huge problem, but this might be something I have to come back to. I think there must be another ball bearing inside of the wheel hub, I guess you'd call it. One side of the wheel has one more bearing than the other side. So I think one must be stuck inside. And if you spin it, you actually can hear like a little clicking. The final few stages of assembly I didn't film just because I was running short on time. I was getting close to like 5:30. I got to cook dinner, but I wanted to do a test drive of this bike, and so I did some of that stuff off camera, everything wired up, and then took a test drive. Here it is the next day. That rear tire did not stay inflated overnight, so I'm just giving it a little pump up and then going outside for the final reveal. And yeah, I mean, the bike looks the same. There's no huge transformation, but it's clean and there's no rust, and yeah, you can ride it, which was not the state that I got it in. And so it's just a matter of final tweaks, making sure the brakes feel right, might need to adjust the front brake to allow the bars to go up a little bit more. Yeah, but in the end, this isn't even a bike for myself. This is a bike that potentially my son uses if it's not too big for him. It's too small for me. The bike feels pretty good. It feels solid, like a proper bike. And yeah, while it's too small for me, I think it will do well and last for another 20 years. Yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments if you have rebuilt an old bike, and how was your experience? Is it worth working on free bikes?